Welcome to Avatar: The Way of Water. The movie star Jack Sully has a family of 5 children and wife Neytiri. Jake narrates about his peaceful life with his family on Pandora as the chief of the Omaticaya clan. Jack goes on to explain that Kiri is the daughter of his dear friend Grace, who died helping the Na'vi people in their battle against the humans. When humans were returning to Earth after losing the battle to the Navis, they left behind human boy Spider. We can see that children plays together and cares for each other even though they were different in color and shape. At all, it turns out that Spider was left because he was too young to be shipped back to Earth. On the other hand, Kiri has a special connection with the Spider and likes him a lot. Neytiri and Jack were relaxing one night when they noticed a strange star in the night sky. Then spaceship approached and started wreaking, and robotic soldiers appeared and destroyed everything that is left, by burning down the habitant. We can see the animals fleeing for their life. The robots on the other hand are seen landing from the starship in large numbers, prepared to tear down anything that's standing on their way. Watching from a distance, they are shocked to learn that this is an RDA starship carrying humans to colonize Pandora and establish another major operating station. The scene then shifts to the human laboratory where the scientists have successfully created Colonel Quaritch's clone and entered the memories and data collected before his death. That's why the Colonel's clone is unable to remember his death at the hands of Jack, but he is only able to recollect the events in the past and his vengeful mission to eliminate Jack. Along with the Colonel, the scientists also created clones of the other soldiers that were during previous attack on Pandora. To prevent the RDA from exploiting Pandora, Jack leads the Navy army to the RDA train supply line, where he infiltrates and manages to steal ammunition and food supplies. Lo'ak is wounded in the process for disobeying his orders. Jack scolded him and asked him to be more obedient from now onwards. On the other side, Colonel encounters General Ardmore, who tells him that the Navy's flying partners called Scouts are currently attacking and slowing down their helicopters. On hearing this, Colonel makes a plan to invade the forest they previously fought, and gathering some information about them, he reached the forest with the rest of his companions, and looked around the previous battlefield and found his robot suit with his body still inside. Lo'ak sees all and immediately contacted his father with the voice transmitter around his neck, and Jack advises Lo'ak to stay away from them and leave the place quietly. When Lo'ak and his siblings attempted to escape, they are captured. In no time, Jack and Neytiri flew into the forest checking for the safety of their children. The children had been captured by humans, and the Colonel looked at their fingers before he learning that they are the children of his arch-nemesis. Neytiri and Jake gets there and attack the soldiers and manages to free most of the children, but not Spider, who is taken away. Later, when the Colonel asks the Spider his name, and he quickly recognizes him as his son. On the other scene, Jack is seen approaching his wife, fearing that the Spiders will reveal their location to the Colonel, suggesting they leave and head to the east coast. Jack also tells Neytiri that the humans will continue to attack them since he was the one who killed Colonel Quaritch. Neytiri doesn't want to leave, but she knows everything her husband said is true, so she agrees to flee. On the other hand, General Ardmore puts Spider in a spinning machine and inflicts some atrocities on him. He tries to get information from the boy, unsuccessful. Spider is too loyal to his Na'vi parents and the clan in totality. Shockingly, the Colonel can't see his child in this state, so he promptly stops the turning machine and moves toward the General and tells her that he will deal with Spider in his own particular manner. Later, he meets the kid in a different room and consoles him that he's not a terrible individual. He uncovers that he's here to return him to Earth. This fills up Spider's heart, and he ultimately consents to furnish him with the data he needs. In the following scene, Jake and his whole family leave their local home and fly away on their Scouts. Subsequent to flying for a couple of days, they at last show up at a spot called Neteyam, where another Na'vi clan resides. Shockingly, the Na'vi living here are fainter in variety and they like to remain in the water. Seeing Jake and his gathering, they begin ridiculing their appearance. Soon the top of the clan, Tanawari, shows up with his significant. He has a wary outlook on Jake and his family and notices that they are not fit to get by in the waters. To save his family, Jake guarantees that they will adjust to the spot right away. He then uncovers how they are being pursued by people. Hearing this, Tanawari allows them to remain and gives them cover. He requests that his youngsters to show Jake's kids how to swim and utilize their unique animals to move around the water. Tanaware's kids take their new companions to the sea and begin showing them the nuts and bolts. In the meantime, Lo'ak attempts to associate with intrusions and falls into the water, while Kiri is seen inside the sea. Shockingly, she has adjusted well to the spot and can control some creatures. The next day, while Kiri is submerged in water, Tanaware's child Onan and his companions approach her and begin ridiculing her, calling her an oddity. Lo'ak shows up and punches Onan. Onan doesn't bring this plunking down, however, and begins applauding some ass with his tick tail. Later, Jake learns about it. He directs his child to proceed to apologize to Onan as he is the chief's child. Lo'ak agrees and says sorry in spite of the fact that Onan excuses him before the others, yet where it counts he is as yet furious. To teach Lo'ak a lesson, he takes him to a booked area on the guise of swimming. Onan is totally neglectful that there are perilous ocean hunters nearby. While Lo'ak is fishing, an enormous hunter swims at him quickly. Scared, Lo'ak searches for help, however fail to track down anybody. All of a sudden, a humongous animal named Piekan quickly kills the hunter with the assistance of its wide head. Here we get to realize that Piekan is a peaceful animal and there are a huge number of Talkan in the ocean which the Mekaina view as their otherworldly family. Piekan is the biggest of all. Meanwhile, Lo'ak is saved and brought to the surface by Piekan. Lo'ak also helps it by taking out spears which were obviously harming it. With this, the two make a wonderful bond and befriend each other. When Lo'ak arrives on the land, he is called by Tanawari, who learned about his child's tricks and believes that him should apologize. Anyway, this magnanimous Lo'ak acknowledges liability regarding his activities and untruths that Onan didn't have anything to do with it. This at long last causes Onan to comprehend that the new Navi are not bad. After some time, Lo'ak reunites with his sibling and companions and makes sense of how Piekan saved his life. Shockingly, nobody accepts him. Rather, they uncover that Piekan is an executioner and that is the reason it was deserted. Then again, Spider briefs the colonel about some Navi culture and takes him to the mountains to choose a scout for him. At first the colonel battles, however soon he gets its hang and flies her out. Not long after that, he gets info about Jake's conceivable place and heads towards the Mekaina reef with his military. On showing up, he faces a portion of the Soras and asks in the event that they know Jake. At the point when the Navi people say no, the malicious people kill one of them and burn their homes. Regardless of this, the novice stand by their articulation. Left without any choices, the colonel flags his group to go for plan B, to kill the Talkans in enormous numbers so that this will at last draw out Jake. The other benefit for killing Talkans is their valuable fluid inside their cerebrums, which can build a lifespan on the earth. A few trackers begin pursuing the ocean beasts. They strike various trackers into them and render them oblivious. In shock, the people in the long run leave them with the trackers still inside the Talkans. When the Mekaina found that their companions are winding up dead, they become upset and choose to draw in with the aggressors. Anyway, Jake quiets them down and notice that they need to inform the Talkans about the trackers first. This is the main way that they can forestall a future strike. Jake hears this and leaves to inform Piekan about it. Onan and a couple of local Navi go along with him. Sooner they meet Piekan, who he prepared to haul the tracker out of him. All of a sudden, the colonel and his hunting team show up in their whale ship. Subsequent to seeing them, Lo'ak communicate with his dad about the circumstance and his companions figures out how to remove the tracker out from Piekan's body. After this, they flee away submerged while the colonel's team begins searching for them. In the interim, Jake approaches Tanawari and informs him that the youngsters are feeling. This stresses the last matter and he rapidly arranges his kin to get ready for war. Jake and Neytiri picks their weapons and soon every is headed towards the front line. The colonel arranges his team to send off their assault on the device and track down Jake's youngsters. Subsequent to looking for some time, they at last track down Kiri and Yuk, and catch them. In a net, Lo'ak makes an effort to tear the net yet gets himself pulled to the whale ship with it. Colonel shows up and sleeves them to the railing of the ship. He then takes Lo'ak transmitter and requests that Jake give up for the well-being of his youngsters. Having no choices, Jake consents to his circumstances. Simultaneously, Pycon sees his dearest companion Lo'ak is cuffed to the deck and he chooses to save him. In an unsafe move, he unexpectedly bounces onto the deck and starts moving his monstrous blades. This discards a ton of troopers and wrecks the ship. Exploiting the interruption, Jake and the Neteyam sent off their assault on the colonel and his military. They need to save their kids. In the meantime, Spider breaks the controller of the whale ship, making it strike the rocks and allowing water inside it. Next, Jake and his oldest child immediately climb the deck and free Lo'ak and Kiri. At that point, they requested the youngsters to get back to somewhere safe. However, Lo'ak denies, rather he chooses to save his embraced sibling Spider. Neytiri goes along with him, and after a touch of looking through, they track down Spider. Is at the point when they are going to leave the ship, the colonel sees them and starts shooting. Tragically, Nathan gets hit by one of the slugs and is seriously harmed. Lo'ak and Spider quickly take him to the shore to their mom, but since of the extreme blood loss he dies. Seeing her child pass on directly before her eyes, Neytiri begins crying and shouting uproariously. Meanwhile, the evil colonel manages to capture Kiri and Tuck using his scound. He later connects with Jack. Jack then calms Neytiri down and persuades her to join him and save their daughters. The last option obliges, and loaded up with rage, she calls her scound, snatches her bow and bolts and goes flying towards the boat. Jack also approaches the ship and causes a blast, killing the colonel's men. Neytiri shows up there and starts shooting. Jack finds his little girl and liberates her. Colonel appears holding Kiri at blade point. He undermines Jack to put down his weapons, and the last option hesitantly does. A vindictive Neytiri catches Spider and takes steps to kill him. At first, the colonel specifies that he has no relationship with Spider. When Neytiri makes a little cut in the kid's chest, he promptly leaves Kiri with Neytiri, and her family plan to leave. Colonel makes reference to that he will again chase Jack down and kill him later. Jack understands that he needs to kill the colonel to be peaceful, thus he gets back to the fight. This time the arch-rivals battle each other in a clenched-hand battle. It is a ruthless. Jack folds his arms over the colonel's neck and thump him oblivious. Jack expects that he is dead and allows him to suffocate in the water. Tragically, he also battles to inhale and begins sinking to the base. Lo'ak finds him and carries him to the surface. Later, Pycon conveys the entire family and carries them to the shore. Spider also hauls his biological father out of the water and saves his life. When the colonel requests that he leave with him, Spider denies and gets back to his adopted family. In the last scene, Jack's family and the entire Omaticaya clan cover Neteyam's body at the lower part of the sea, where the lighting tubes embrace him like their own. The film closes with Jack recalling the best recollections of his senior child memories. If you loved the videos, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.